StockFollower.com with the stock market outlook video for the week of January 3rd, 2015. So we're going to do these videos a little bit differently this year. They are actually going to be released on Saturday along with the weekend update for premium members. And, for right now, everything that's being offered to members is also being offered for free for the next 2 weeks. So I definitely recommend you take advantage of that. And then after that, you'll have to have a membership to do so. So I definitely encourage you to take a look at the weekend update, see if it's something that you like, and proceed from there. But in order to get these videos, I highly recommend you subscribe to the nightly recap. You can find that, sign up on the top of every web page on the website, and also on the home page, and I believe actually on the stock market outlook page as well. But before we get started, I just want to wish everyone a happy and healthy new year. We had a great year last year. I'm looking forward to an even better 2015. I'm really looking to kind of take the community a little bit further, and build up maybe even some kind of forum or something like that on the website. But for right now, I've been MIA just because I've been building a lot of stuff on the website, just for you guys to take advantage of. So we haven't done one of these videos in a while, so let's get to it and see where we're headed. So if this is the first time you've followed along with the stock market outlook, what we're going to do is we're going to go through just the futures contracts for the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, and the Russell, just to kind of get an idea of how the markets are setting up, where they're looking to go, and where they've come from. Maybe it gives us some hints of at least to identify the market trend at this point. So the first one we're going to look at is the ES, which is the S&P 500 futures. And you can see here on the weekly chart, the top chart here, 2-year weekly chart, that we're really just at the top of some resistance. All right, consolidation happening right now. And we've moved well off of the lows of this channel here. And now we're basically sitting at the highs. And one thing that we're going to discuss is, even though we had a pullback here on the last 3 days of 2014, or last 3 trading days of 2014, I really don't perceive it as that. I really look at it more as people just looking to sell because they've made some nice gains for the year. I know that's what we did for the model portfolio on the premium side of things, but I really just think that this is more indicative of when it happened in the year, really more than trader sentiment. So looking at it, I kind of take it with a grain of salt. I really like this strong move that we had off this pullback here in the middle of December. You could see that came right back into the 50-day moving average. So as far as the S&P goes, I mean, we're obviously in an uptrend. You could see that here on the weekly chart. And as far as the daily chart goes, I think this week maybe it'll be a little bit of a wait and see mode. Maybe we'll see if we come back, test that 50-day moving average, and then bounce higher from there. But right now, I wouldn't be surprised if we can maybe just consolidate between, let's call it 2090 and maybe 2020. All right, so I'd like to just see some kind of consolidation, because the last bit of the year, you could see, I mean, we had these crazy moves, in September, or middle of September to middle of October, we had this big down move. Then October to December, we had this huge up move. Then we had a big down move. So ultimately, it's still, the market's still trending higher. But I like to go back to a little bit of normalcy where the moves aren't so extreme, because obviously as traders, if you're taking both sides of it and you're flipping trades and you're a swing trader, it's a different story. You want to see those moves. But as a trend follower, it's nice to see that slow grind higher as opposed to these big whipsaws, because ultimately what happens when you do that is it's very difficult to be able to trail the stops higher when you have these constant moves higher. You like to see those consolidations and everything like that, because then what happens is when the market turns around and your stocks start maybe sliding down a little bit, you don't really have a lot of levels of support to go off of. So me personally, I like to just see the slow grind than these huge moves, but everybody's different. Okay, here is the NASDAQ futures, the NQs, and again, you could see uptrend is intact, and we're probably, let's see, we're probably in a channel. It's very similar. Yep, very similar to the S&P. So okay, uptrend's intact. Difference here is we basically double topped as of right now, and this is in some type of consolidation pattern. So let's move it even further back, and you can see that consolidation pattern essentially bottoms out at previous resistance levels. Okay, so when we pulled back here in the middle of December to 4,090, that pretty much was the resistance that we were hitting back in the middle of September. So you know, again, old resistance becomes a new support. Sure enough, that's what happened. And you know, if I was looking at this as any other stock, I would say, you know what, I want to be long, and I want to see a breakout over 43.18, 43.20. The Dow. Okay, Dow had a good year, good end of the year at least. Okay, and even still, very similar situation where we are in an uptrend, most likely in a channel. Let's see if that's accurate, and it is. Okay, so again, we're sitting at the top end of the channel. You know, more often than not, we want to at least come back, you know, closer to here, maybe the 17,400 area or what not. But the fact is, we're above the 50-day. We're still above the 20-day on the Dow. And you know, again, if we were looking at this as a consolidation pattern, you could see here we came back right back into the highs from the middle of September, very similar to the NASDAQ. You know, this one's a little bit more difficult because we did push to new highs right before we sold off for the last 4 trading days of 2014. So again, you know, I'm just, these last 4 days, I just don't know how much weight they're actually going to have. You know, we could open 2015 and really just push to new highs. I don't know. I mean, logically, I would think we'd want to come back to at least 17,500, test that 50-day moving average, and maybe even put in a little bit of a consolidation. So this is kind of a hybrid between the S&P and the NASDAQ, where I would like to see some type of consolidation, maybe in this box for a little while before we move higher. And the last one, the Russell TF. And you can see this one actually is setting up fairly well. You can see on the weekly chart that we did have this long consolidation for most of 2014. All right, and now it looks like it's happening, and it happened here. Is it consolidated? It had a little bit of a false breakdown, but it was supported by that 50-day moving average, broke out, and now look at where we're coming back into. We're coming right back into previous resistance, okay, right here at this 1185. That kind of coincides back here with the highs from 7.3. So this one looks like maybe, you know, a typical breakout where, you know, we move higher, we consolidate, we break out again, we test the previous breakout, and if it's successful and we start moving higher, then we're looking for a breakout over 1218, 1220 to really get us going. And maybe the Russell is going to be a leader this year as opposed to a laggard like it was last year. So you could see here there was that previous resistance becoming new support that I discussed, and really we're looking for that break over 1220. So, you know, again, we'll see how that plays out, but for right now you could essentially draw a trend line. You can, if the computer will let you, but you can draw that trend line, you know, connect those 2 points and see if that trend line holds. But you know, this had a great run for 2012. It consolidated most of 2013, and it could lead very well to a great run for 2014, but that remains to be seen, obviously. But for right now, this one actually looks like one of the best looking setups. If you were looking at it strictly as if it was a stock, you were going to trade it. Obviously, you can trade the futures. I don't, but there are other ETFs and stuff that you can trade. But if I was looking at it as I want to trade this instrument, then sure enough, I would be saying that this is probably the best looking one so far. But we really need to see that break over 1220 and a hold over 1220. Okay, that's a key important thing there. So markets are you know, they're obviously trending higher. I think they're in need of a little bit of a rest, especially the S&P and the Dow. The NASDAQ seems to be doing that already. It's in that consolidation already, and the Russell appears to be, you know, being the leader at this point, or at least an early leader for the year. Whether that happens or not, who knows? But other than that, I think we're setting up very well for a good start of 2015. And I think what would change that is if we start kind of breaking down below this 4,090 on the NASDAQ and start breaking down below, what level is it? If we start breaking that 2,000 level again on the S&P, then things start to change a little bit. Then it's maybe we're not so gung ho. Maybe what needs to happen is we need to test those bottoms of those channels, and really use those as support going forward. 17,000 on the Dow, So again, those levels really need to hold for that story to be intact. But for right now, I see no reason we don't just grind higher. And again, let's see how much weight those last 4 trading days have had, and if it's actually a confirmation of things to come, or if it's just people saying, you know what, I had a great 2014, I want to take some profits. So that's it for this video. Definitely head over to the premium section while it's available for free, and check out the weekend update. And we'll see you on the Twitter sphere. Is that even a word? Twitter sphere? I have no idea. But we'll see you during the week on Twitter. All right, take care, guys.